Good afternoon, my dear student. Today we shall continue with the chapter 10, that is about the light and shadow. Now, as you know that in my last class I already just start this chapter about the light and shadow, and I discussed that about what is the artificial source of light, natural source of light, and the different types of objects also. So about the transparent, transparent, and the opaque object. Now today I am going to discuss the second part. The second part of this chapter, that is about the shadow. Now what is shadow? Then what is shadow that we are now going to discuss. The shadow is a black colored shape, or the shadow we know that when the light is fall over any object, that is a light over fall. Suppose I am standing here, that light is come over me. Now I am work as the opaque object. Now my shadow is being formed in the backward side or the plane area or in the wall, that the shadow is being made. So that is called the shadow. That when the light is being obstructed by an opaque object, that time the same object shadow or same object image or that is formed in the opposite side of the source of light, and that is called the shadow. Again I repeat. That shadow when the source of light or when the light start to come through from a particular plane, and when it protect or the source of light when it prevent by through a opaque object or an opaque object, that time the light or it form the image or an image that is the opposite direction of the source of light. This particular image is known as the shadow. Now when we dark light for an opaque object, that it get the reflected and it create the image on the opposite side from the source of light. Suppose light is coming from this way, so shadow definitely made into the opposite side. Never from that side only shadow doesn't make. Because the light will fall over on me. Now I am work as a opaque object. So afterward my shadow it form backward of me and the wall only. The shadow it will make. So that is why it's known as the shadow. And shadow always it form in the black in color. Shadow always make the black in color. If the opaque object is being so colorful, if the light it also being so colorful, that doesn't matter. Shadow always made into the black in color. Now the next is similarly when the sunlight fall over on body, it get reflected. Suppose during the daytime when the sunlight fall over on our body, so our body is what as a opaque object, so our body does not allow the light to pass through in or behind. So for that reason, that when you walk on the way also, you can see in the road also that sometimes a shadow it will fall that for back of me or back of us, that have to shadow it will fall. So by this way, that is shadow it will made. So what is the definition of shadow? When the source of light are being obstructed by an opaque object and they form an image, and afterward it form an image that on the opposite side of the source of light. The image is known as the shadow. So you understand what is the definition of shadow? So from source of light when it obstructed by an opaque object, that time the object shadow is being formed on the opposite direction of the source of light. That is called the shadow. Now the next is what are the conditions should be needed to formation of a shadow? Means what are the things should be needed that any time that shadow is not being formed. Suppose you enter in a dark room, but you can't see your shadow, but shadow is not possible, or you can not able to see your shadow. Now for the formation of the shadow, the few things should be needed. What are the requirements to be needed for the formation of shadow? Now see the first one. That a shadow is formed when the path of light obstructed by an object. That shadow is not that formed easily. That when an object being obstructed on the path of light. What is the meaning of path of light? Suppose from here, the sun, the rays is coming out. Now here an object is being located. This object is the opaque object. So from here the light cannot able to pass through. Now the shadow is being formed on the opposite direction of the object. Suppose here the shadow is being formed. So by this way, when the light being obstructed by an opaque object, that time on the opposite direction of the source of light, that the shadow is being formed. Now the transparent object does not form a shadow. In the transparent object, it is not possible to formation of a shadow. Why it's not possible? Because the transparent object allows the light to pass through. It does not prevent or protect the light from here. Transparent object allows the light to pass through into the opposite direction. That is why the transparent object, in the transparent object, it's not possible to formation of a shadow. And in the transparent object, the little amount of shadow it forms, but not in a properly. Because the transparent object also, that little amount of light it can be passed through into another direction. That is why in the transparent object also, the less or the little amount of shadow it being formed. And the exact shadow it made only in the opaque object. If the object it be the opaque object, that time only the shadow it being formed. Otherwise, it not possible to formation of a shadow. Now here, what are the things or the conditions to be needed? The first is the source of light. If you need to form a shadow, if the shadow is being formed, then definitely the light or the source of light should be needed. Without it, it's not possible to formation of a shadow. Second is a opaque object that comes on the way to the source of light, and an object should be needed. This object, first of all, the source of light should be needed. First one. Second requirement is the opaque object. That is, object should be needed, opaque object. Third is a plane surface that where the shadow is being formed. What you need, third one, is surface that where the place shadow is being formed. Suppose the source of light is coming, the light source, and the opaque object. This one, two things. Third one is the plane surface where the shadow is being formed. So these three are the necessary conditions to be needed to the formation of a shadow. Okay, so I hope you have to understand about it. What is the shadow and how, what are the conditions should be required to the formation of a shadow. So today up to here. Next day we discuss the other things on this chapter. Thank you.